up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 24th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy Hump Day. And a quick story, every time I hear someone say Happy Hump Day, about 4 years ago, because I just remember it was during COVID, so everybody was just on edge. I had a parent call in to complain about one of my teachers for being vulgar and inappropriate and saying inappropriate, unacceptable sexual things in class. And I'm like, what? Obviously, you need to take something like that serious. Finally called the parent back, find out what she said, and it's because she wished them a happy hump day on a Wednesday. Yep. Welcome to I'll pull back the curtain a little bit on my day job. These are the types of things I deal with. But it was an interesting conversation to have with the teacher because I'm like, just, I guess, be careful. But more importantly, like, where is this lady's mind at? That wishing someone a happy hump day is, I don't know. And like, I asked around and everybody was like, no, she's being out of control. So every time I hear hump day, that is what I think of. But happy hump day, everyone, in the most non-inappropriate way possible. We're over the hump now. That's what I always thought it meant. But anyway, as always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, can the Sixers win this series? And it was split down the middle, 50-50. Half of you think they can. Half of you think they can't. I am on the side of they can. I'm not saying they will, but they certainly can. I feel, based on my eye test, they have been the better team. And they have, for the most part, outplayed the Knicks. It's just unfortunate on both games, that small period where the Knicks were really outplaying them happened to be costly when Josh Hart went off and then the final 27 seconds of the game the other night. But let's stick with that. As always, though, thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. There will be another question of the day later in the show. But sticking with the Sixers, the league issued its last 2-minute report, which I didn't even know was a thing. But essentially, it confirmed what everybody was thinking and talking about on Sports Talk Radio yesterday, and that is that Maxey was fouled twice. We saw that his jersey was grabbed. That Nick Nurse should have been granted the timeout. And I will be fair, there was a thing on there, a report that Embiid actually fouled DiVincenzo, and they missed that foul. But ultimately, like I said, it's very easy to just come out here and blame it on the refs because of what we saw and how hard the Sixers played. However, I will go back to missed free throws, not playing to the whistle, and giving up open shots to the Knicks in that final 2 minutes or so. So it's very easy to do, and I know there's a lot of people who are like, the Sixers were robbed. And listen, there's no guarantee a call this way or that way is going to change everything, especially when you're missing 3 crucial free throws down the stretch. You're not playing to the whistle. That is like basketball 101. Like, my son played his first year of organized basketball this year, and the coaches would tell them, don't stop playing until you hear the ref blow the whistle. And honestly, they would do it, and they would take it to the extreme. And it was like, once the ref blows the whistle, you need to stop. But, like, those are fundamental things. Missed free throws, giving up, not playing defense and giving up open shots and not playing to the whistle. That is why the Sixers lost game 2. I'm not going to be, I try not to be as most as possible, because for the most part, 1 or 2 calls is not going to change the outcome of the game. So I'm not going to say that's why they lost. I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me, and that's fine. But you still, like, those refs did not make Embiid miss 2 free throws. It didn't make Kyle Lowry miss a free throw. It didn't make all of those guys stop playing. And for the most part, even Maxey, like, he was thinking the timeout was going to be called. No, you hold on to that ball and, like, in a fetal position until you hear the whistle. Guys playing defense, like, why don't leave your guy open? So those are the little things that I think you're going to see them. I like the way Nick Nurse has made adjustments so far, especially throughout this season, as tough as it's been. I still don't know why he's not being considered for Coach of the Year, but I think you're going to see it again. And the fact that Joe came out and said, we're going to win this series, I like the confidence. Now back it up. I mean, this is your chance to have your moment. Like, you want to talk about cementing a legacy. This will go a long way in coming back for your legacy. If you can come back and lead this team to a victory in this series, it'll change things. Now, you still need to get past round 2 to build another level to your legacy, but this will go a long way in creating your legacy. A couple last things for the Sixers. Knicks fans, stay classy. And I listen, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. But had that been in Philly and Sixers fans were like, F the Knicks, it would have been a national story and it would have been crazy, because trust me when I say I've been at heated Mets-Phillies games before where we almost got thrown out. My lovely wife did get thrown out because she didn't get the memo. We were saying muck the Fets. She didn't get the memo and was saying the real thing. So they take that pretty serious. So I'm telling you, I like it, but New York, stay classy. And F Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and DiVincenzo as well. But anyway, I figured I'd point that out because I feel as though I'm the voice of the fan trying to change the legacy and change the narrative of the Philly sports fan. And yet, here you go. The Knicks fans are saying F Embiid. And had that been in Philly, it would have been, well, you know how it would have been. So stay classy, New York. Congratulations to Tyrese Maxey for winning Most Improved Player. Now let's add some more hardware to that. But going back to Embiid saying we're going to win this series, I love the confidence. It doesn't happen often. I don't know how accurate the stat was, but I follow DraftKings on Twitter, and I saw something about only 7 or 8% of the time a team has ever come back from 0-2. That's okay, because it happened with, like, the series hasn't started yet. If the Sixers come back and win the next 2 games, no harm, no foul. We go back to New York for a 3-game series. But the Sixers have never won when down 0-2. So you got that. Again, this is why it will go a long way in cementing Joe's legacy. However, your coach of your 76ers, Nick Nurse, has done it. And he's done it in a season where he's won a championship. The year that Toronto won the championship, they got down 0-2 to the Bucks in Milwaukee. Very, very, and they didn't play them as close. If I remember correctly, it wasn't as close as what the Sixers played the Knicks right now. They came back. Toronto stole one on the road and won all 3 of their home games en route to coming back 0-2. They won it in 6. So this series is far from over. So there, if you needed a little bit of hope, or you were like down the middle on whether the Sixers can win or not, there's your glimmer of hope. But like I said, stay classy, New York. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. But again, it was not the refs. It was missed free throws, not playing to the whistle, not playing defense, all of the things, not grabbing rebounds. You name it, that's why. Be sure to hit me up on social media, Jimbo_Mont. On Twitter and TikTok. TikTok for the time being until it officially gets shut down, which I have a strong opinion on that, but I'm going to keep this apolitical today because I've already ran it enough on Knicks fans. Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mont. Be sure to tell your friends. Let's spread the word. Again, all the information for the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony is in the description. Buy your tickets now. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or have an item that you wish to have for the auction, hit me up for that as well. We'll make sure it gets worked in for you. All right, the Flyers have a good problem now. Or not, I shouldn't even say it's a problem. They extended Ivan Fedotov, I think is the pronunciation that everyone landed on, Fedotov. I'm sure it'll change 4 more times, but they extended him 2 years, $6.5 million. So now I like this. You have 2 young goalies. Well, Fedotov isn't that young, but he's supposed to have all this ton of potential. And then you have Sam Urson, who played lights out last year. And then you have a guy or two in the pipeline. So it seems like the Achilles heel has always been goalie for the Flyers since I've been old enough to follow them, ever since basically the death of Pelle Lindbergh, minus the year that Ron Hextall stood on his head. So I like this. Now let's let Danny Briere do his thing and get cooking as they approach and prepare for the draft and free agency. Phillies, the streak is over. Ended at 7 games. They got blown out last night. Just one of those, nothing seemed to work. Sanchez struggled a bit. And offensively, they couldn't get runners in. I mean, at one point, they had the bases loaded, no outs, and could not get anything done. 3 straight strikeouts, I believe. I know Schwarber struck out, Turner struck out. Either way, they couldn't get it done, and the streak is over, but that's okay. Let's start another streak. Phillies are still playing well, starting pitching. I'm anxious to see what happens with Taijuan Walker. Hopefully he doesn't mess up the flow when he comes back in on Sunday out in San Diego. All right. It's still every Friday home game. They're going to wear those City Connect jerseys that nobody likes. But Philly Goat did the Philly Connect edition, right? Go check them out. The script, it's perfect. It's what you expect, the quality from Philly Goat. So go to phillygoat.com, check out their Philly Connect line of clothes, hats, sweatshirts, you name it. Get a pair of shoes to match. You want to celebrate Maxi? They have a couple cool Maxi shirts. The Iron Maxi one is good, as well as the Maximus. Are you not entertained? So go check out Philly Goat. Get your Maxi shirts. Get the Philly Connect line shirts, hats, you name it. And then use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Be sure to do that to get the 10% because it helps the podcast out every time you make an order. So if you're going to buy them anyway, put my name in and help us grow this thing. But that's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, Eagles news. Isaiah Rodgers is officially reinstated effective immediately, which is good. I think he's going to be a key to how he does moving forward in the draft. But he's got something to prove, and he's been working hard. Obviously not with the team, but I like this. Finally, he's back. And it also came out, too, that they will not receive their official penalty for the Saquon Barkley quote-unquote tampering until next year, alleged tampering, because the NFL has not done their investigation, so will not impact this year whatsoever. But heading into tomorrow night's first round, that leads us to today's question of the day. What is the biggest need for the Eagles heading into day one of the draft? Is it O-line, D-line, linebacker, or defensive back? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. And as I mentioned, I feel as though you couldn't go wrong with any of them. And I think they have flexibility. And I was listening on the radio the other day, yesterday, because I'm driving to Delaware County. And I forget who it was now at this point, but they brought up a good point that Howie, whether it's a minor move or a major move, kind of sets himself up to not have a glaring need going into the draft, which helps when it comes to making trades and things like that, because now people don't necessarily know what they're looking for. So Isaiah Rodgers being officially reinstated kind of takes, I mean, obviously they need something for the future there, but kind of going into this year, they have the spots filled. So now you have that flexibility, which I still think he's going to make a trade for a player, but he has that flexibility now to really go after the best player available and who they have on their board and who they like. So let me know, though, what is the biggest need going into day one of the draft? Is it O-line, D-line, linebacker, or DB? 267-495-8531 or on any of the socials. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right. Today, we're going to try to will some positivity into the Sixers world, and we're going to go back to 1967 today. And on this day in 1967, it was Game 6 of the NBA Finals. The Sixers led the Warriors 3-2. And ironically enough, these teams have an intertwined history. The Sixers took the Warriors spot in Philly in 1963. 2 years later, Wilt returned home when the Warriors, trying to rebuild, traded Wilt back home to the Sixers. And then just 2 years later, both of those teams are competing for an NBA championship. So it really came full circle for Philadelphia and the Warriors, as well as throwing the Sixers in there. So in Game 6, the two teams combined for 84 points in the first quarter, which is an NBA record which still stands today. It's been tied twice, once in 1994 and once in 2003. Sixers came into the fourth quarter down early, and then Matt Guokas sparked the comeback. That fourth quarter, Wilt was just his dominant self. 8 rebounds, 6 blocks, en route to a 24-point, 23-rebound performance. Remember, they didn't necessarily keep blocks as an official stat, so something tells me if he had 6 in the fourth quarter, he probably had something like 15 for the game. Wally Jones led the Sixers with 27. Wilt's D was the difference as the Warriors tried to come back at the end, but just could not get good shots off. 125-122, Sixers win and won their first championship in Philadelphia since moving from Syracuse in 1963. Let's take this positivity and throw it into tomorrow night for the Sixers. Back when they had the dominant center. Sound familiar? Who didn't play like anybody else in the game. So on this day in 1967, the Sixers won Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 125-122 over the San Francisco Warriors, winning their first NBA championship in Philadelphia. Let's hope that we can take that, summon all of the positive energy from 1967 and throw it into the Wells Fargo Center for tomorrow night and then Sunday afternoon's game. Let's go. Finally today, our Philadelphia sports team with unfinished business who left a little bit meat on the bone. I was hesitant to put this in there, but the way everything else plays out, I had to put it in there. But it all sort of ties together going back to the Nick Nurse stat. But today's Philly sports team that left meat on the bone is the 2018-19 Sixers. They went 51-33 that year. They were the 3rd seed. That was a year they traded for Jimmy Butler. They rolled past the Nets in the first round. Then that epic Raptors series, Sixers were up 2-1. Then they were down 3-2, forced a Game 7, and ended up losing Game 7 in the final seconds at the buzzer when Kawhi Leonard's shot seemed like it bounced 20 times on the rim before it went in. Would they have beaten the Bucks and Golden State? I don't know, but I don't think in either one of those series the Raptors had any shot. So I really think we would have seen playoff Jimmy. I think you would have seen, much like how the Raptors did, they got hot and would have went on the run. And ultimately, I think what it would have done is just change the whole mindset of this team because they would have gotten past the first round. But it was not meant to be, and there's definitely a lot of meat on the bone because it seriously changed the trajectory then of this team. You had the whole Tobias Harris max contract, choosing Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler. Tobias effing Harris over me. But it was not meant to be. Today's Philly sports team that had unfinished business, that left some meat on the bone, was the 18-19 Sixers, but we're summoning all of that energy from 1967 on this day when the Sixers beat the Warriors for the NBA championship. And we're going to exercise the demon of the 18-19 and all of the past seasons from there. We're going to exercise those demons because guess what? It's a new era of basketball here in Philadelphia. I'm feeling the confidence. Let's go. Ironically enough, the coach of the Raptors that day was Nick Nurse. So let's do it. Let me know what you're thinking of the Sixers fan. Am I drinking the Kool-Aid? Am I going to get my heart broken by the ex-girlfriend that happens every time I jump on the Sixers bandwagon? Probably. but that's okay. It's well worth the ride. Let me know what you think the Eagles' biggest needs are. O-line, D-line, linebacker, or DB heading into the first day of the draft. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Tell your friends. Let's spread the word. Let's grow this thing. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday. Happy hump day in the most appropriate way possible. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.